guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video for Trinity Stamps. Today we are going to be making these adorable little snowmen. I am using the Friesen family stamps and dies, and then the Snow Stacks stamps and dies, as well as the Simply Sentimental Merry and Christmas, and then my ever-loved embossed edge dies. I use those all the time because I make so many scenes. So here I'm going to stamp these down in some black ink that is safe for alcohol markers, because that is how I'm going to be coloring them up today. And I thought that it would be kind of fun to do kind of like two different takes on our color choices. So some people are team traditional colors for the holidays, and some people are team non-traditional colors for the holidays. I'll be honest, for me, it depends on what kind of card I'm making. So I am going to do the Snow Stacks, so the top one in just traditional colors, so red, green, and yellow. And then the bottom one, I'm going to use non-traditional colors. So I still use the red, green, and yellow, but then I also used blue and purple and orange as well. When you're coloring something white, we're only putting in the shadows. So I prefer cool grays. You can use warm grays or neutral grays, whatever you have. But whatever color, whatever gray family you're using, you do want to make sure that you are only adding in the shadows. So we're going to add shadows where 2 points meet and where one object lays on top of the other. So obviously we have quite a few snowmen stacked up on each other. So there's going to be shadows where their little feet, and I guess they have, I guess they're feet, right? Snowmen feet? I don't know. They're cute. So where their little feet are standing on each other's heads, where their scarves are wrapped around their necks, where their hats are on. But we want to make sure that we're leaving the majority of their body white, because that's what color they are. So, well, I suppose you could have like a dirty snowman, and maybe he would be less white, more gray. But I like like I said, I like the cool grays. So sometimes when you're coloring something white, it can get a little bit like boring. I know right now they look like dirty little snowmen. I know that. But when we add more colors and we get them into their scene, they will read as white. And so when you are coloring them, if you want to add another color, like maybe for me, like I do my ink blending for my snow with Shaded Lilac, which is a blue violet. So I could use a BV. Usually I think I go with a 000 or a quadruple 0. Or you can use a blue to reflect the colors of the sky. You can use a blue-green if, maybe you have more of a blue-green sky. And you can put those over your grays to help give them a little bit more color, besides than just being stark white. Because in real life, white is seldom just white. Usually it is reflecting the other colors that are kind of surrounding it. For the Friesen family, these ones do tend to come out a little bit darker, just because they have a lot more going on. They have a lot more scarves and hats, and their noses are bigger. Don't mind me coloring this bunny on the end gray, like a little snow, like he's a snow bunny. He's a little snow bunny. I'm going to change that later on just to create some balance in our design. So, but basically the rules stay the same. You're adding shadows where one is laying on top of the other. We're adding shadows where 2 points are meeting. If you do feel like you have gotten a little heavy-handed, I do have a trick for that as well. So if you're going through there and you're feeling like, hey, even after I put my colors in, these guys are looking a little gray, you can go in with your colorless blender, and you will want to put your colorless blender like where you want it to be the lightest, and then kind of move into your color. So you can see I'm putting it down like on his belly and then working out to the edges. When you're using a colorless blender, you're not really removing color so much as pushing color. So basically we want to start in the lightest area so that we push the darker color out to the edges. And then here I'm going to do a variety. I'm going to do some of these snowmen with the blue violet. I'm going to do some of these snowmen with the blue, and I'm going to do some of them with the blue green. And just so that way you can see kind of what the difference is. I do traditionally tend to either lean toward like the blue or the blue violet, just because of how I typically shade my snow. But you can totally do whatever works for you. I'm going to treat these snowmen the same way. I just did the same thing. I didn't think you needed to see it twice. So now let's get into the coloring. When we're coloring, the reason that we start with the grays is because that's our lightest color. So imagine if we went in with these really dark, rich reds, which is great. That's going to give us a ton of dimension. And then we decided we were going to color our snowman white. Like one little nudge up against this red color and we're going to have red snowman. We don't want red snowman. So when we're coloring, I typically tend to try to do the lightest color first and then work out to my darker colors. So now that we've talked about like what order to do that, now we're only using 3 color families for these snowmen. That can get a bit repetitive, a bit boring, and I have some tricks for how to kind of break that up. Which we'll see probably closer toward the finishing of the card, just because that happens to be the point in which I do those things. But I do try to mix up, like for color balance, who has what. So like the snowman at the top, he has the red band on his hat and then the little bit of holly. So I thought, well, it would be nice if he had a little green scarf to go with that. For this snowman over here, his hat looks like an elf hat. So to me, that's going to read green and gold, or yellow. I like a golden yellow. Not everybody does. And then don't forget your neutrals. So just because we are like our snowmen are white, that doesn't mean that we can't have white in our scarves or white pom-poms on our hats. I do recommend you coloring, again, those first. So like the candy cane, I started to fill in the red, and then you saw I went back and grabbed the gray marker to shade the whites first, and then go in and do the red, because again, we don't want to pick it up and carry it. Don't be afraid to do like multiple colors. Like here, this little snowman over here, he's going to get all the colors. He's going to be super interesting. In order to really stay true to those traditional colors, I also chose to color their little carrot noses in with a golden yellow. So before, I've had to stop my voiceover twice now because I have picked up a little bit of a cold. And so when I'm talking a lot, my throat gets dry and then I have like a coughing fit. So I have tucked a little cough drop inside my cheek in the hopes that that will keep me from having to cough. But it might change my speech pattern a little bit. I apologize for that. It's better than coughing in your ear, I think. So anyway, don't be afraid to like kind of mix up those colors. And then, like I said, we'll talk about ways that you can really stretch those colors. This works not just for like, hey, I just want to keep it a traditional red, green, yellow kind of Christmas. This also works really nicely if you have a limited amount of markers. If you have a limited amount of markers, these kind of tips and tricks can help you get different looks out of what you have. Let's just talk about my little faux pas here. So we have a little Frosty the Snowman book that I read my daughter pretty frequently, especially this time of year. And it just sings the song, but it has all the little pictures that go with it. And when going in there and singing the song, for some reason, I was thinking coal. Guys, it's 2 eyes made out of coal, just so you're aware. Why I colored that top snowman's nose black, I have no answers for you. Definitely should have been yellow. It's not. He has a coal nose. He's different. He's the different friend of the group. That's okay. We still love him. So now And I'm sure my daughter probably would even have caught that. But anyway, so now moving on to the other set, which is the less traditional. Does anybody else do this? When I am coloring, whatever color I start with first tends to be the color that I use the most of. I don't really know why that is. So in this case, I have started with green, and I don't think there's a single that first snowman. I was going to say, other than that, I don't think there's anyone who got unscathed by the green. I put green on everything, which wasn't even really my intention. Because like I said, I went into it knowing that I wanted to do traditional colors and non-traditional colors. So why I was going just buck wild with the green, I don't really know. But we're going to move through these. These same rules apply, as far as the points where two objects meet and where one lays on top of the other. So you're going to have darker shadows where your scarves are knotted. You're going to have darker shadows where, your mittens are tucked, or where they're, bumped up against each other. The little snowmen are bumped up against each other. You're going to have darker shadows there as well. So, I don't know who I got my cold from. Because, 'tis the season for Petri dishes and all that jazz. I don't want to jinx it. I'm not even going to say, because it's been all right. Shh, don't jinx us. But my dad thought he was getting a cold, and then my sister also had a cold. So I'm not sure exactly where I picked mine up from. I would much rather have it the week before Christmas than the week of Christmas if I have my druthers. So I'm not going to complain too much about it, because it is a head cold, but it's really, I've still been functional. It hasn't completely taken me out. I've just been able to take some over-the-counter medication, and that's been working for me. The cough, when I'm doing my voiceovers is probably the worst part, because this is what I do for my this is what I do for a job. So it does make it very challenging, especially when I have a longer video like this, where normally I would be talking for an extended period of time. Instead of you listening to music, because I cannot, I just cannot. You have to then instead listen to me with a cough drop in my mouth, and I do have to periodically pause to just have a regular coughing fit. I don't really know why. I guess it just gets dry in there. So anyway, after I did the green, then the next color I went in with was red. Why, Kelly? Why, when you know that you wanted to use non-traditional colors, are you in fact using traditional colors? I don't know why. I have no answer for that. I cannot believe that, we're already just a week away from Christmas. Less than 5-6 days. Am I done with my Christmas shopping? Absolutely not. Under no circumstances would I ever be done with my Christmas shopping this early. I just am who I am. But you can tell it's getting closer, because my nephew, who goes to school in Tennessee, now he came home last night. My son's cousins, they'll be here on Monday. So everybody, from out of town is starting to come in. So I am very excited to see everybody. I'm a little bit, this year is the first year without my mom, but in my experience, and this isn't always the case, but in my experience, moms make the magic. Moms make Christmas magical. And while I am heartbroken to not have my own mother here, my mom did, laid so much groundwork. We did cookies, we did decorations, we did, adopting families and giving back to people. We did all of these things that just made Christmas what it was, that it was so wonderful and created this joy for me. Not to mention, obviously it's Jesus' birthday, celebrating the birth of our Lord and Savior. And she is the one who did all the things, put all the things together. And because she did that so well, because she made it so magical, she created a situation where even though I miss her very much. There's no other way to say it. I miss her very much. But I want to be her for my kids. And I want them to have a magical Christmas. Even if that means that I have to kind of move through my own feelings about it, because I want them to have those same memories that I did of growing up and decorating the tree and teasing her about how much tinsel she put on it. It was a lot of tinsel. Even for people who like tinsel, it was like she really liked the tinsel. Mama really liked the tinsel. So we are, I'm hoping tonight is Friday. This evening, I'm hoping to do cookies for Santa with the kids tonight. Maybe I'll give myself a break and order food instead of making dinner. I make dinner every night. I'm sure that all of you do too, and you feel my pain. So to do that. And then this weekend, I had intended on going to my dad's and putting up the Christmas tree last weekend. We did get it out of the crawl space and upstairs, but we were also baking cookies at the same time. And so, we just ran out of time. I had like total delusions of grandeur. I don't know why I thought I'd be able to make, what did we make? We made, chocolate chip cookies, flourless peanut butter cookies, oatmeal raisin cookies, Russian tea cakes. I made nut roll. And we still didn't do the ones with the Hershey Kisses. What are those called? I can't even remember. We call them the Kiss cookies, but they're called something else. But anyway. And then I thought, yeah, we'll be able to get the Christmas tree up and decorated. And then I couldn't go over there because I've told you I had a cold. So I haven't been able to go over there to do it. So I'm hoping this weekend to get over there and get it up. Normally, Peanut helps me do the decorating of the tree. But his cousins, like I said, his cousins are coming in. So he's very excited to see them. I don't blame him one bit. So he said he would rather just stay and hang out with his cousins. So here you can see I'm putting a little bit of blush on my snowmen, on their little cheeks. Is that unrealistic? Absolutely. Is it still adorable? Also, 100%. It is the cutest. I have no regrets over putting a little blush on their cheek. And then here, I got all the way out. I got all the way out to the end, and I was like, I did not put any purple in this. So then this one guy was going to have the purple, and I was like, no, I need to have more purple, otherwise it's not balanced. And I couldn't put the purple with the guy who had the red coat and the gold gloves, because that would just be unfortunate. So I went back over this one in the middle who got the blue and the green. I went over and made it purple. That's just the joy of knowing how to blend colors and colors that will lay on top of each other. Speaking of colors, some of you may have seen, if you watch my channel, that I recently posted my first class, which I am terrified and extremely excited for, in equal amounts. And it is called Color Theory for Card Makers. And I'm not going to get too much into it, but if that's something that you have struggled with or that you're interested in, that is available with discounted pricing through December 27th. So if you're watching on my channel, I will link that below. So now here, I am cutting it out with the coordinating dies, and then I decided to do one portrait style or vertical, and then one landscape or horizontal. So I am cutting them so that I will be able to use both the positive and the negative to create my snow. So I have like one hill that they're sitting on and then one hill behind them. I am blending on some shaded lilac. I like to be very light-handed with this. This part is only going to be the shadow, so I only add it to the bottom, where there would be a little bit more shadow. The top of the hills, no matter what their shape, I want to be nice and white. So in order to make my white snowman stand out on my white snow, that's part of why we do the ink blending, but also adding in a little bit of a darker sky. It doesn't have to be blue. That's just what I chose because I love blue. Blue is my boyfriend. But you could use, a sunset color. You could use purple. Just a little bit of a darker sky is going to help them kind of pop forward because they are white. And I find that adding color to the sky makes the card a little bit more interesting. In times past, when I have tried to do like a day scene with snowmen, it just feels a little lackluster because there isn't enough contrast. So I used Salty Ocean, Mermaid Lagoon, Uncharted Mariner, and Black Soot. And I'm not worried about doing the bottom because my hills are going to cover all of that. So I'm only ink blending kind of like the top portion, and then I do that twice. Now, after I did this, I realized that my true blue I didn't really love with my kind of blue-green sky. So I did go back over top of it with a color that blended itself a little bit nicer to a blue-green. Again, color glazing. We also cover that in class. So here I am doing some white heat embossing. These are going to complete my sentiments. So one of them is going to have a big Merry, one of them is going to have a big Christmas, and then these little white heat embossed black labels will complete the sentiment. Originally, I thought I was going to do Wishing You Merry Christmas, but when I put it together, I didn't actually love how it was sitting, so I just changed it to just Merry Christmas. Treated with my anti-static tool, stamped it with a white pigment ink because that's how I feel like I get the best embossing, like nice bright white embossing. And so then I'm heating them with my heat tool until they're nice, smooth, and white, and then I trim them into labels. For the two that I chose, I cut the shadows out of black, and then I cut the letters out of white so that it would match, it would mirror that heat embossing. These are super easy to put together. The shadow makes it really easy to know kind of where all of the things go. So I just glued those down together, the Merry and the Christmas. I will spare you all of the gluing because I know it's already a long video. So now we're going to start putting this together. This one, I left this part in specifically because this is how I eyeballed where my hill needed to go so that the seed underneath our top snowman, our snowman with our coal nose, that is not cut out. It is white. So in order for it to go in the scene, I needed the hill to be at least that high, so that way it would be white through there. And then these, I didn't even pop anything up just because we have like a couple of layers of cardstock on top of each other. And that seems to be working pretty well for what we've got going on. So I glued that down. And then I can't leave anything alone. Like I cannot leave well enough alone. These were also glued down flat. I have to add shading underneath them so that they aren't like floating. And I also have to blend in their white outline into the sky. So this one, when you're doing ink blending, it's not like a guarantee. So even me, I have to kind of play around with to see what color I, can get. And sometimes I have to layer them. In this case, I did have to layer them. I layered a blue with a blue-green, and that is what ended up giving me the color that matched my sky the best. And then it just blends right in there. It looks like we didn't even use a die cut, which I love. And then for the shadows, I'm using those blue violets because that's what I did my ink blending with. So I am adding the darkest color right up against their feet and then blending it out with the next two lightest colors. This one here, because we have the shading where the hill meets and we want everything to be nice and blended, I am going to go in with those same blue violets and in between the areas of the snowmen and then also where their arms are hanging over that ink blending, I'm going to get those areas and just blend out that kind of blue violet. And that really solidifies that the snowmen are in this scene, that you can like see the hills through the other side. I also wanted it to look like it was snowing because these are pretty clean cards. You could totally just leave them like this, but I like a little shimmer, a little shine. I thought that it would be fun for it to be looking like it was snowing. The key to it looking like it's snowing is it can't just snow in the background. It has to also snow on top of your characters. So I did some Perfect Pearls in the color Perfect Pearl with a little bit of water, and I just splattered it kind of all over. If you want a finer mist, splatter it off your card a couple of times, and then that'll give you a finer mist. And then I went in with some white acrylic spray. This is going to be a more opaque white so that it really looks like it's snow. And I just went over both of them. I did this before I put on the sentiment on purpose. So that way I didn't have any issues with like legibility on the little black labels. So I'm adding some shimmer to the snowman bodies because I do love a little shimmery snow. And then here is where I'm going to add the bits to make this a little bit more interesting. I'm going to add a little polka dot to a scarf. I'm going to add a little stripe. I'm going to add a little plaid. This is where you can kind of play around and really take these like just 3 color combination and kind of elevate it with just those little details. I like a number 10. This is a jelly roll, but it's a number 10. So it's not the fine, it's the medium. And I like that line thickness. I also find that this doesn't really clog up on me. And then I just did little highlights like on their noses, on the hat, things like that. I'm going to do the highlights. I'm going to do like different patterns and things on these as well. Like the one little red hat, instead of just leaving it a plain red, I'm going to add a polka dot to it. But you don't have to do that. You can do whatever it is that you like. And some people don't like all of the added, I don't want to say details because that's not, like it makes it look busier. And some people they like a cleaner look, I guess is what I should say. I like the little detail parts. But that's what makes my card mine and your card yours. You know what I'm saying? We all get to be different, and that's a benefit. Different, this is what I teach my kids. Different doesn't mean bad. Different means different. So here I've added some white stripes into that scarf, which was great because it broke up the color combination, which I really wasn't loving. I added some little star snowflakes on the back of some mittens. Just little things, here and there to help it look a little bit different than everybody else's. So then once I had all of the details done, adding the highlights and all that stuff, then I was able to go in and do the sentiments. I chose to do the ones from Simply Sentimental for the Merry and the Christmas because I liked having those kind of bigger, bolder ones to help balance the design. But these also have really, really cute like punny ones on the inside. And you use the punny ones because I think they're so cute. But I find that I like to use them on the inside. So like for the snow stacks, for example, like they have one that says like, no one stacks up to you. Like that's something I would use on the inside using the little pun. And then I use the blue, I think it's the blue raspberry baubles, I think. And the reflecting sky, I think is the gems. I did a combination of those. If you found that when you were doing your white details, you went over the lines, like your stamped lines, you can go in with a fine liner and just clean up those lines. And then that's it. That's both cards. So I hope that this is inspiring to you, whether you like a traditional or a non-traditional color. I hope you had fun, getting to see these guys be colored up. I think they're adorable. And if I do not see you, I hope that you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next video. Bye.